Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Charlie Adam are with me on this Friday ahead of Scotland's game against Israel at Hampden tomorrow, 5 o'clock kickoff. We'll be going to Hampden shortly to speak to Gabriel Antoniazzi, our reporter. There's lots of football discussion, including, of course, happy Geordies in the northeast as they've got a buyout. Finally, Mike Ashley is gone, and they're happy. The chant yesterday was, "We've got our club back." I'm not quite sure about that, but nevertheless, it looks as if the next few years could be interesting at Newcastle, with lots of money undoubtedly going to be spent on top quality players. We will look at that. We'll talk about some players that might be back playing football, Ryan Jack being one of them. It's been such a long time. He's been like the forgotten man at Rangers, so we'll discuss that. And of course, with Ruffy and Charlie, a wee bit of banter, reading out some of your messages as well. So, all to look forward to. First and foremost, to Hampden. An optimistic mood around the camp, Gabriel?
Yes, hi boys, hi everyone at home. It's been a really positive week at Scotland. That, of course, is because the last match was a 1-0 victory over Austria in Vienna, which has put Scotland in the driving seat for that second spot, which is, of course, the playoff berth. Now, Steve Clarke has said that the team are improving, and that can be measured by the sellout crowd that's going to be here tomorrow evening. It's the first time in his tenure that it's going to be a sellout, the biggest attendance we are expecting since England arrived in Glasgow in 2017. They're up against the Israelis, who they've played 6 times in the last 3 years. Unbelievable. A World Series almost. But they've only won once, Scotland, even though they did beat them on penalties a year ago today in the Euro 2020 playoff semi-final. But going back to the fans, Steve Clarke thinks that could be crucial when it comes to the result tomorrow.
I think recent experience tells you that it's probably going to be a tight game. Not a lot between the two countries. Good game, I think, a good technical game. One we're looking forward to. This time we've got something a little bit different, and we've got the full house at Hampden, which we haven't had before, so I'm intrigued to see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, full house. Steve Clarke is hoping that the Tartan Army can play their part in this one. There's a sense of optimism among us too. Is there the same with you?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think we're in a good place. The country, the nation. It's just, you know, what way does he bring people in? Does he bring McTominay back in, straight back in, into that centre-back position? I think probably 9 of the positions picked for themselves, and obviously we've got Adams out suspended, and you know, the injury at centre-back, will it be for somebody?
Well, I think basically he's going to Henry and McTominay and Tierney. Hanley's suspended.
Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, no, and that's it. And it's good that now we're starting to get a settled team all the time and regular, and these lads are playing well. So no, I'm optimistic, very happy where we are, and it'll be nice just to beat Israel after about 25 games, when instead of a 1-1 draw or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're all pen pals, to be perfectly honest with you now. But I don't think we need to build it up anymore. The hype's there. We know what's at stake. We know what we have to do to get into eventually this complicated playoff situation, which I will explain shortly, Gabriel. But Steve Clarke himself knows exactly what they have to do.
Yeah, well, essentially, when they beat Austria last month, they knocked them out of qualifying. Essentially, they're 4 points behind. And so Scotland have 11 points, and they're 1 point ahead of Israel. And if they win tomorrow evening, they would almost essentially knock Israel out as well, considering the next 2 games are the Faroe Islands and Moldova. So if Scotland win against Israel, and then win those next 2 games, which you would expect them to against pot 5 and 6 teams, they are guaranteed to be in that convoluted, complicated playoff that happens in March 2022. But yeah, as I said, Clarke knows what it's all about. It's about keeping command of that second place berth.
What I'm learning is that every game's a cup final. You need the points. So this is the next cup final. When we went to Vienna last month, it was a big night for us. We had to make sure that we got a positive result. We got a very good result. 3 points was a great return from that game. 6 points for the last camp was a great return. It's put us in control of second position, and now it's up to us to maintain that.
Have we in the media been maybe not as positive as we should have been, Ruffy? Maybe too negative at times on this? Are we a fair reflection of the way the fans were thinking about Scotland's chances? Because I know at one point, I think we were fairly dismissive. I certainly hold my hands up. At one point, I thought we were looking as if we hadn't a catch chance in hell of getting a playoff.
No, I think before the Denmark game, before the Austria game, I think we were all a bit disappointed where we were. And we were just shown we're disappointed. We weren't having a go at anybody. We were just saying, look, we thought we had the players that could take something out of the game, and they did. You know, and that's the pleasing thing about it. So he's got it right. If he thinks there are people out there who have had a go at him after getting the result, he's got every right to put it out there that I know who you are. But it certainly wasn't coming from in here. You know, we were just disappointed about the way the results were going.
We were in the back of the couch in the first half of that Denmark game, weren't we?
No, listen, you don't make excuses. That's the nature of football, Charlie. You give your opinion where we are at that moment. If it seems to be knee-jerk and we're guilty of not seeing a longer plan, which Steve Clarke is because he's there all the time, then fair play to the manager.
Yeah, but you're only going to take... Us as fans are only taking each game as a time. We don't look at the long-term plan as supporters. We look at it here and now. We were disappointed in that first half against Denmark. I seen a little bit of a change in when he changed formation second half. I thought, okay, we had a little bit of a go and we created a couple of things. Moldova and Austria, we said if we take 4 points for that, we're delighted. We took 6. Brilliant. Great's in a great position. And we've got Israel at home in front of a full Hampden for first time in a long time. So the lads should be relishing that, and I think Steve will be as well. And you know, I think there's still a buzz about the country from the Euros in the summer, and we've got to keep staying on that bandwagon of enjoying games. And all that can happen is if we keep winning games, and I think they will beat Israel easily at the weekend.
Yeah, easily?
Easily, I think it'll be comfortable again, yeah, I think 2-3-0.
Yeah, wow. Listen, if it's 2 or 3-0, Gabriel, I think we'll all be jumping about in the press box as well. We know Israel well. We know that they've got more than a few players, some who have played in the Premiership in Scotland, but we know of the quality that they have.
Yeah, especially up front with Israel. That's where the danger is. Eren Zahavi of PSV, he scores plenty of goals and he likes shooting from distance. Craig Gordon was pointing that out today when I spoke to him. You've also got Munoz de Boer. He's clinical. You've got Solomon on one wing. And, of course, Lil Abada of Celtic, the new hoop star. He's impressive. He can play on the right. They are missing a few players, though. Hatem Abdelhamid, also formerly of Celtic, is missing, as is their second most capped player at the centre-half. He is suspended. So there are a few issues with Israel. But Craig Gordon, as I said, very experienced. He said they know what to expect.
There shouldn't be many surprises in terms of the players, but we know that. We've cancelled each other out on a few occasions now, so hopefully we get the better of this one. But yeah, the games against each other, you learn a lot about each time, and for I don't know even how many times this is now in recent years, but yeah, let's hope we have the edge. I think it'll be a close game.
I like the fact that he's in. McGregor's a great goalkeeper. Gordon's top drawer.
Yeah, no, it's he's done it. He obviously had to sit a little bit spell it when Marshall done really well and getting Scotland to the Euros and that, but come back in and being ever present at Hearts, be magnificent, and you need that, that experience and stability in the back line, and he's got that, and yeah, he's top goalkeeper, and so he'll play tomorrow night, and hopefully he doesn't have much to do, because then it'll be Scotland have played well. Yeah,
we can rhyme off Gabriel more often than not now, as close to 10 or 11 of the players who are going to play. I maybe picked it up wrong earlier in the week. I'm almost certain I read that Che Adams was suspended. The good news is, obviously not. Only Hanley is the man missing. What's the latest you've got from the team news from the camp?
Well, yeah, as I said, I spoke to Steve Clarke earlier today, and he said he is 100% confident in his team selection. He knows all 11 players. Of course, it's going to be Craig Gordon in goal. It will be that 3 or 5 at the back formation. You've got Andy Robertson left wing back, Kieran Tierney. But the question is who replaces Grant Hanley. Hanley has been so crucial for Scotland over the last 18 months under Steve Clarke. Now, Jack Hendry has also been revitalised under Clarke. Could he come in to the centre of defence, because he usually plays on the right-hand side, and then we slot Scott McTominay back in at the right centre-half. Now, he played there at Wembley, was outstanding, but we know that naturally he is a central midfielder, so that's the question. McTominay was missing last month Will he come back in at centre-half, central midfield, or perhaps on the bench? You could keep Hendry right centre-half, and then you've got McKenna or Cooper in the middle, but we think he'll go with Hendry in the middle because Hendry does play there in Belgian Football League. They play at 3 at the back, and he plays right in the middle. O'Donnell's expected to get the nod ahead of Patterson, and then the midfield 3, which is just so good at the moment. The balance is perfect between McGinn, McGregor and Gilmore. Should expect them to play, and yet Adams is not suspended despite a few reports, and he will partner Lyndon Dykes up top.
Yeah, that preferred 2 up there, Ruffy, is what's I think we've all been craving, we've all been looking for, to have a go when the time is right. And of course, the one thing that strikers love, we've got 2 fullbacks who can put in good crosses.
Yeah, and they get forward into that dangerous area, and that's where most of our success comes from, when they get balls flashing across the goal or set pieces, it's a record. We don't score that many goals. If you take the Faroe Islands out of the equation, we're a goal a game team, but we've got to do more than that at home. And yeah, I think you get a better chance when you've got 2 forwards playing than 1. I understand why you play 1 and you against certain teams, particularly away from home. But at home, I think we've got to show this team, that they're going to be in a game, and they're going to be on the back foot for most of the game. So for me, Henry's got to go in there. He's playing Champions League. He's playing against top strikers. And he has come on leaps and bounds. So I would have in there. I think the question he's got is O'Donnell or Patterson. I think that's a big shout for him. But it doesn't matter which one of them plays. I think the both of them will give a good account of themselves.
You've got a smile on your face, so you might as well go for it.
Patterson's in. He's the best right back.
Yeah.
Simple.
Do you think he'll do that?
Yes. Because I thought he'd done really well in the attacking sense in it against Moldova. We need to go and get after Israel. We need to put pressure on them like we did against Moldovans. Be on the front foot because the crowd's going to expect it, and if we go and sit and think we'll be all right, Scotland can't do that. We need to go and get after them and put them under pressure. And I think Patterson's his pace, he's energetic, can get up and down, good quality on it. So I'd expect him to play.
Yeah, interesting. It'll be a big call. Either way, the 2 of them are good.
Yeah, it just depends on what you want, especially if you're thinking away and maybe Abada might play on that left side, or with Robertson going high as well. So Steve's decisions, whatever he makes, we'll go with. But I would prefer to pay Patterson. But Steve picks the team, and whatever he does, we'll go with that. And as long as we get the result. Yeah,
absolutely. Gabriel, we're fairly confident. What about you? What's your prediction for this one?
Well, before I give you my prediction, I've got to hold my hands up and say I was a pessimist as well. After a few early results in the group, I looked at this Israel game and thought, we'll probably be out by then, so I'll book a weekend away. So I won't be at the game. Credit to Stevie Clarke. Scotland are in. They've got a great chance, and I think that they are going to get that second place by winning tomorrow evening. I think it's going to be 2-0. Dykes and Adams to score. And I tell you, if they do win, I'll be looking at those March 2022 playoff fixtures. Where do we want to go? Who do we want to get? Is it Poland? Could we get a trip to Switzerland? Something like that. So, hey, get the PLZ checkbook out. I'll be away again. Get ready.
Yeah, Ruffy, get the PLZ checkbook out. Gabriel wants to go for the playoffs. It'll be the first time we've sent him out in a plane on his own. I mean,
yeah, that could be risky because we've seen him in nights out. He can't be let loose anywhere.
Well, he did mention something there, which is the 10 runners-up in World Cup qualifying progress to the playoffs, where the best 6 are seeded depending on their results in the group stage. Scotland are currently seeded.
Yeah.
So 2 Nations League section winners who finished 3rd or below in World Cup qualifying complete the lineup. So the 12 teams are then split into 3 playoff paths for one-off semi-finals and a final in March next year. The 3 path winners qualify for the showpiece in Qatar. So there you are, Gabriel. I've made it as clear as mud for you, but fingers crossed we are indeed sending you out there. I'll be at Hampden tomorrow, Ruffy, because of course every now and then, it's very rare that Anthony Atse misses a game. Certainly very rarely misses a Scotland game, but when love is in the air, love is in the air.
Is that what it is? That is the excuse.
Oh my goodness me. Incredible.
That is, listen, I mean, what's your commitment, Charlie? I mean, Scotland, it's your nation.
And exactly, it's the biggest game in 7 or 8 months since that European Championships, and you're going away on a lovely weekend with a new girlfriend, is it?
I told you I identified it as a game that didn't matter, so I said, it's Israel. it's fine, we can go away. But now I'm just thinking, hey, it is what it is. I've committed. I've got to go for it. Peter will be there. Come on, Scotland.
Yeah, absolutely. Gabriel, 100% behind you on this one. Yeah, sometimes you look so far ahead in your life, Ruffy, you try and plan things, and then suddenly Scotland surprises all. We're in the mix, so I can't criticise him. He's been absolutely top drawer. But I'm looking forward to it, Ruffy, because as you know, I mean, and as Charlie will know from his agent, all we did, your agent and I, just basically, we would buy old bangers, I have to tell you, the cars, and we're off and running, Ruffy, and we'd follow Scotland everywhere. It was great.
Yeah, and I hope it gets back to that. I'd love the supporters.
Buying old bangers?
No. There's no any old bangers sitting out there. Life has changed.
Yes,
It's better not go into that.
But no, I think that's what supporting Scotland was all about.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been away to France, haven't we? We've experienced what the Tartan Army, how much they enjoy it, you know, and everything, particularly if you get a win, how exciting it is for everybody. And people used to, you know, have their holidays based around where Scotland were playing, you know, and I hope, and if Steve and the boys get back to winning ways and we get to finals, you know, I think we would get back to that.
It's funny, I've never ever, you know, sometimes you can go to games and you feel there's an edge, you know, with supporters. I've never, that's the joy of it all. I mean, Kenny, Davey, and a few other of the boys, we would go to watch Scotland, and the whole thing was just a feel-good, great holiday.
And I think that's what it is now. I think tomorrow's going to be a feel-good factor. I think everybody's actually looking forward to it. They're not sitting there thinking, oh, we're actually going to watch Scotland tomorrow. I think the whole country, 50-odd thousand is going to be there. They're all looking forward to this game, and it's been a long time since we've had that.
Yeah, I was talking to my dad when we travelled away. You know, my dad went everywhere, and he always had a tartan bonnet on, you know, and he was, I mean, I've told Peter hundreds stories about me. We'd walk in anywhere and he'd talk to anybody. And we were in Spain in the World Cup in '82, and he says, I'm coming out of the hotel to see you. And I went, great. So he comes out of the hotel, and I comes down, and I'm in the foyer, you know, and I says to the boy, Mr. Ruffin. And he said, yeah, he's over there. I says, who's he speaking to? Oh, I think he's with Sean Connery. I went, what? My dad's talking to Sean Connery with his tartan bonnet and all that one. Talk to anybody.
Yeah, Hugh Scott, I think, is on our level. Charlie says, I'm sure Ruffy knows plenty about old bangers. Hugh, you need to have a long hard look at yourself. Morris says, poor Gabby. Poor Gabby, you kidding me? What a weekend he's going to have. And Brit Blue says, do you remember Eldreekie, the bus a bunch of boys converted? Yeah. They converted a bus and followed Scotland.
Yeah, they were legendary. I think they went to Spain.
Yeah,
I think there was a documentary on the television about all the supporters going away, and the Eldreekie bus was on that night, and legend be told that the second name of it was evident after about 3 or 4 days.
Is that right?
The Reekie bit.
Yeah.
If you've got 40 guys on that bus.
Well, I was just about to say to you, that's what you call a weekend away. I must admit, there's a lot of people, thank you very much to lots of people who post their messages and give us their thoughts on Scotland, some very positive. Some people, there are a few Rangers fans who just don't like Steve Clarke. There's nothing worse than going down to Rugby Park and saying bye-bye to the Rangers fans. It really riles them, and they're just not buying into him at all. Yeah. But you only live and die by your results. And, you know, we on this programme try and be football fans and give you our objective as pundits, as journalists on games of football. But if there are people who just cannot see past them for previous things at Kilmarnock, then maybe this isn't the show for you, to be perfectly honest with you. We really want to see Scotland get there, Ruff. It would be fantastic, you know.
Yeah, it's a thing that, you know, a lot of people say that, I mean, not everybody's into football in Scotland, you know, but when Scotland win, there's a smile on people's faces. Yeah. It doesn't matter whether you're into football or you're not into it, you get caught in it, you get brought into it, you know, the hype, everything that's going on, and it's great to see, you know, so many people enjoying a successful football team.
Yeah, one of our favourite nights, Ruffy, and I make no bones about it, for commentary apart, forget the commentary part of it, just after we defeated France in 2007. I mean, I can remember going back to the hotel, Charlie, the place was buzzing. I mean, they're just a wee glass of red wine and everybody just giving it big licks, you know, singing Scotland songs. It was great.
And that's what I keep going. That it's different for the 2000, but now it's like that's how it feels in the country.
Yeah. Do players get a lift when they see the national team do that?
Absolutely, and you know, because the opportunities that it gives, and the players are buzzing off it as well. Like you say, we are fans as well. So if our nation's doing well, and like you say, Ruffy said, going into the shop or you go into town in Glasgow, whatever, people are happy. You'd rather have that than people that are miserable and we're watching Scotland again. Well, everybody's buzzing to be seeing Scotland, so everybody's going to get a lift at it. Bars, restaurants, whatever, and everybody's focused on this. And I just think it's great that we're in a good place with a good manager and a squad of players that want to be there and play well.
And how good is it that you can rhyme off 9 or 10? Do you think that gives that kind of a club spirit? Is that why we're getting to that point now where there's a belief?
Yes, and I've been in Scotland camps where it's, you know, I'm not going to play, and they know they're not going to play, but it's enjoyable because you're winning games. I've been in camps where we're not winning games, and it's been difficult, and it's a long 10 days. But when you're going now and they're desperate to go, and everybody's there and they're buying in, I keep using England, but England are getting success because they've got that club mentality, that club feel, and it's going well, and Scotland seem to have that as well. And listen, it seems to be working for us at the moment, and just another big game which we're all delighted to see.
Yeah, Argentina, apart from the organisation point of view, which I think the SFA are wide open to criticism, Ruffy, apart from the odd noise up and person who really had another agenda, the players, all I ever have heard from you is just great times on international duty. And in fact, I sense it's the best years of your life.
Yeah, I think Charlie's touched on it. If you can get a squad of players who all buy into what they're doing and you all get on well, away back there in Argentina, for some reason there was a sort of an Anglo-Scottish in the squad. You know, a lot of the boys were playing down in England. A lot of the boys for Scotland didn't really know them personally.
Yeah.
You know, you would maybe just meet up once. So you never got to know the guy you were playing with as a person. You got to know him as a player, but when you're in a squad that's together all the time, you get to know the guy. You get to know what he's like. You know what he likes, what he doesn't like, and that helps as well.
And like you say, it's because it's different story, different people. I was like that going into the squads. I couldn't wait to meet up because I love to hear the stories. What's happened at Man United when Fletcher's were in there, and he's playing with these players, and like how was he doing? What was he doing at Man United, and all the other lads that were in the big clubs? What were they doing? And you could hear all the stories, and you're talking to these people you probably wouldn't really have a conversation with anyway. And it was just a great buzz to be around it. And you know, like Steve, the biggest thing is boredom. That's the biggest problem you have because you only train once. And then obviously you have the rest of the day, so it's trying to fill that gaps, and it seems like Steve's got it right by, I don't know what he does in the camp away from it, but it seems to be that the lads are enjoying it and they're delighted to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So we wish them well. I'm going to go Scotland 2-0.
Yeah, well, I've already said Scotland are a goal a game, but I'm going to obviously turn that in its head. And if Scotland score first, I think they've got to come out and do something, and I think that's when we'll get another Ian. And I'm going to go 2-0 as well.
Oh, you're 2-0 and you're going 3-0.
I'll go 3-0, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. We like your optimism on this one. Thanks to the countless people who've been messaging us all this week. We've thoroughly enjoyed the fact that we've been able to interact with people, genuine on their app, genuine people who have an app link to their name and their email address. Makes a huge difference at times. They've downloaded the PLZ Soccer app, and then basically in the menu you can watch the show at your leisure on your phone if you miss it anywhere. You can listen to the podcast if that's your thing. Submissions, you can just go in there and type whatever you want. It drops immediately on the show, or you can record something and we can put it out on the show, as Connor did earlier in the week. He was a big Rangers fan. Recorded a little message speaking articulately about Rangers, and he's a big Rangers fan, so we're sending him out a nice little gift as a thank you. If you want to record yourself and we use it on the show, we'll send you something nice as well. But well done to so many people just talking about football issues and giving us their insight and sharing a few memories. Well, you can do that on the app. Thank you to the countless people who are downloading it and enjoying the fact that it's got every breaking story from right across the globe. So you get right up to date with all the stories as well. Last night, Ruffy, I think I've witnessed the best game that I've seen of football in the entire year. So far, I've not got long to go in this year, but France against Belgium was magnificent. Movement, skill, touch, awareness, goals, end to end, fantastic.
Yeah, top players playing at the top game, you know, and it was great to see them all. They all actually looked as if they wanted to get to a final. They all looked as if, right, we're going to win this, and it was end to end. It was every top player that was on the park was doing something special, and it was a great game to watch. I thought that France were going to lose it, you know, but they didn't. They came up because of the big players.
It was brilliant, Charlie. They were 2-0 up, Belgium, and I can't work out Belgium. There seems to be just something
missing there.
There's something missing in the DNA of that country.
Yeah, I just think there's just something. You know, they went into one major tournament, and it was one of the World Cups, and they were the favourites, and everybody thought they were going to run away with it, and he disappointed. And he just seemed to be that team that have got all the top players, but just seemed to be disappointment at the moment. So I don't know what the solution is. Defensively, they're not at the level that the other top ones are, and middle to front, they've got some world-class players in Belgium, but it just don't seem they can get it right. But the French, just, you know, the players in the squad they've got is just incredible, and they're taking the confidence from winning that World Cup and going forward. But 3-2, great result, and it'll be a great final, Spain against France.
Oh yeah, I didn't think actually Spain against Italy would be tough.
I fancied Spain. I don't know why.
You fancy them to win?
I was driving to work the other day, and I was listening to a radio station, Talk Sport, and they were talking about it, and he said they were good value, Spain. I think they were 5-2 or something to win the game,
and
it
not a Real Madrid player on their side.
It's mad. It's mad that not one Real Madrid player gets a game.
Well, he's been slaughtered for him. You can't slaughter him.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's beaten the European champions.
Yeah.
So, you know, who's right or wrong? But
well, he's right, because you'll never die with your results, Rocky, don't you?
That's it.
I mean, I thought last night was just an absolute joy of everything that you want in football. There are times from PSG that I haven't been too. I know this sounds crazy to say, but there are times with PSG I haven't really seen the best of Mbappe. There's sometimes when I think he's not in the mood, or somebody's able to shackle him, but. Last night it was just outrageous, and Benzema's just a class act.
Yeah, there was a one to go back to the Euros. I think it was the first game. There was a ball over the top, and he had a chase with somebody.
Yeah,
and he gave the boy 15 yards to start, and he still beat him.
But he had
and we all thought, well, this is the campaign, but he never did it in that one. But I think in this one he was brilliant.
He had a poor Euros, didn't he?
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Charlie, I don't know if you agree with this, I'm not sure there are natural successors to Ronaldo and Messi in this generation.
No, there's no. People say they're close, and Mo Salah's, you know, top player, but I don't think anybody's going to get close to Messi and Ronaldo. I just think they're different from what there is and going forward. And
am I right in saying this? I suggested this to someone this morning, and I wonder if you guys agree on this. I think Italy, Spain, France and Belgium are playing one level of football, and then it's the rest. You know, you can go down, you could maybe at a push put England and others, Germany in that second tier, but I think those four are out on their own. Yeah, no, I think you can even split up and think that probably France and Germany, France and Italy are at the top, and then everybody else. But you know, the technical players in the four countries have come to the top in these two games, and it's going to be a hell of a final. Yeah, absolutely. And no disrespect to England, Ruffy. I mean, they've got some lovely players. I like Harry Kane's a goal scorer. I like Jack Grealish. I'm a big fan of Grealish. But I get the feeling that if they had come up against some of these teams in the quarters and semis, they wouldn't have been anywhere near that final. Is that fair? Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from. They have got nice players, but collectively I don't think they're as good as the ones that we're talking about. Yeah. You know, I think they've got more big players than England have. Okay, couple of things I want to get your thoughts on. Well, there's lots of things we want to talk about, but a couple of things that caught my eye. One closer to home for yourself. We were talking about it the other day there. Confirm now that the FA won't be able to, adjudicate on the Lee Griffiths case. I think it was the 14th of October we were talking about, Charlie. They're going to have to wait now to the police deal with the complaint against them. In a strange sort of way, that's a bonus for you guys. Yeah, no, it will help us because you'll be able to get back playing and keep playing, and we'll see where that goes. But
I just think we take each situation as it comes, and let's say there's a delay in the situation. Well, it makes him available. Hopefully, if he comes over the injury that he's got at the moment for the Aberdeen game, and we just got to try and use that because we need to get back winning games.
It would be great to get him for the Aberdeen game.
Oh, I'd be delighted to get him in.
Are you in with a chance?
Yeah, hopefully. I've trained this week 4 days, and
has he been training?
No, he's obviously had picked up an injury against Rangers, and we'll wait to see how he goes. But yeah, I'm delighted to be back in. I feel good, and hopefully, be able to be available for next weekend.
Yeah, that would be
It'd be interesting if the SFA are waiting and the police making a decision. It could be good for Lee Griffiths if the police say no charges.
Yeah.
Then what do the SFA do?
Well,
if the police don't think that there's anything worthwhile charging anybody, it puts them in a predicament of, well,
I think everybody's had their tuppence worth to say on it. We all, I think, generally, right across the board, everybody I've been listening to or reading is talking about why kick it in the first place. A moment of stupidity, but once the police determine the result, I think you're going to be looking and thinking, well, what, if anything, is the penalty coming up for the player? I think the last thing that James wants is any kind of ban.
Yeah, we want him available, and obviously I'm closer to the situation. It's hard for me to talk about it, and exactly. I don't want to disclose anything, but it's the situation is what it is. He just has to get playing games, and if he's available, fit and available for the Aberdeen game, we'll be delighted, and hopefully he can get us a couple of goals because we need them.
Absolutely, I can't wait to see if you can pick him out with one of your usual trademark 30-yarders, Ruffy. Mm-hmm. Once Charlie gets the old magic left wand in, I mean the right one's there just so he doesn't fall off the edge of the couch, but the left one is magic.
It must be good for Charlie's point of view if he knows what he's doing, and the guy who's going to play knows what he's doing as well, and he's on the move before he knows it's coming. That's what I mean. That makes a hell of a difference.
That's what the best players. You get partnerships, don't you? And you understand people's game, and it's his first game. Obviously, hopefully we'll play with Griff for Dundee. And listen, I understand everybody else's game in the club. So if I can get back playing and get in there, hopefully we can strike a good partnership. And it's important if we do, then we'll kick on and we'll get wins. Yeah,
well, fingers crossed you do, because the one thing I noticed the other week there, which I just thought was a joy to watch Ruffy at Man United, was as soon as Fernandes got the ball, Ronaldo was off and running.
Did you see it with the pass, didn't you, for his goal against Newcastle?
Yeah, it was incredible. We're going to talk about Newcastle shortly. Just quickly, a nice positive thing, Ruffy. I spotted Ryan Jack, doing some training. Good to get him back. Be good because he's 29, and I think he's been missed by Rangers.
Yeah, I think he was a big player. Rangers have obviously brought other players in, but I'm sure if he was 100%, he'd be in the team. And I hope he's anxiously looking at the Scotland results, because he's a player that could come in to the Scotland set-up if we get further than where we are now. So he's got a lot to go for, and he's got a lot still in his career, and I think he's another asset to Rangers and Scotland.
Yeah, nice to see him back, Charlie.
Good midfielder. Good midfielder. Done really well for Rangers. Manager likes him, and unfortunately he's had a bad injury, and he's had to get over that. But better for him playing well for Rangers, and like you say, adding good competition to that Scotland midfield. Just
out of left field on this, when I spotted this in the paper today, and again it's an age-old argument that continually happens when Hearts and Hibs or anybody at Aberdeen start running a few results together. Do you think they can split the Old Firm this season?
No.
I'm with you on that. I agree.
Just because of the quality that the squads have got, and what they've got and what they can produce. I said it before, Rangers can go and win 10 games in a row. Celtic can go and win 7 or 8. It's no problem to them. But this Hearts Rangers game is going to be a little bit of a tasty one because of the comments that have been made in the last week or so after the game. So I'm looking forward to the next run of games, really, because it'll decide where a lot of teams are going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Ruffy, having lived in Edinburgh for 12 years, I know exactly what the mentality is like, the Jambos and the Hibbies. There are. Well, I think the first day I actually moved to Edinburgh, Hearts had a right good side. They had Gary Mackay, they had Henry Smith, Walter Kidd, John Robertson, Sandy Clark, just a real John Colquhoun. They were a really good team, and almost won the league. But since then, there have been a couple of times George Burley's opening run of 13 games. But since then, this is a big test, as Charlie's saying. I'm looking forward to them. Can they go there? Can they keep 11 on the park, Ruffy?
No, I think if you're in the Hibs and Hearts camp, you'll believe that you can split them. If you're a supporter, you've got to believe, the football that they're playing. But the evidence will be when Hibs go to Ibrox and Parkhead and the Hearts go to Ibrox and Parkhead. If they were to continually start winning Ibrox and Parkhead, then you have to believe that they've got a right good side. But until they do that, I don't think they're ever going to split them.
Yeah, Bob White says, Hearts always folded Ibrox, simply no bottle. Bob, it's an opinion. It is an opinion on football, which we welcome, Hearts fans out there. What do you think? Do you think there's a bit of steel about this side? Can they go to Glasgow and Ibrox and the cauldron of Ibrox Stadium and stand up and be counted? We shall find out. Talking of which, we always like games, and we always like to know exactly what's going to happen with them and where they're going to when they're going to kick off. Sunday, January 2nd, Celtic against Rangers. It's of course live on Sky, so it's at 12 o'clock the kick off for that one. So we can have a good bevy, have a party in the house, then get up. We can, not you.
Can I believe they've chosen St Johnstone against Celtic in the No Dundee derby?
Yeah, that's another thing, by the way. That's not a good idea, isn't it?
No, so
I like the derbies at the New Year, and of
we
course
might play at 12 o'clock at night. For American TV, we might play at 12 o'clock.
Charlie, don't knock it, son. It's coming. John Nelms is going to pull it out one day, and he's going to say to you, by the way, he's a and our co-pundits tonight are Tom Brady and somebody else. It's going to be crazy. But nevertheless, listen, they're doing everything they can because there is a huge gap. We're going to talk about Newcastle in a moment, but just one other little thing, Ruffy. Monday the 3rd of January, great. It's a Monday night. It is 12:30, actually, sorry, it's a Monday night. 12:30 kick-off, Hibs against Hearts on Easter Road. That's going to be a howitzer. I will be there.
Yeah, they're magnificent games, and I hate you keep bringing them up because my track record is absolutely horrendous.
Yes.
15 derby games, no wins. So let's move on to something else.
Have you ever been in an Edinburgh derby? Have you ever?
No, I'd love to. I'm going to try and go to one. I think it's good. It looks a good atmosphere, but I'll be hoping I'm on a beach somewhere because it's winter break in it.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
That derby, and I think our game probably staying on the 2nd and maybe get a wee flight somewhere next day.
Yeah, okay, so it's not that one you're going to. Right, listen, if you're talking about one city in the whole of the UK right now where they're dancing, they're having parties, well, I don't think I should narrow it down to that. Even when they were rotten, they were still dancing and having parties in Newcastle. But boy, the reaction to the takeover has been incredible. Basically, Saudi Arabia's PIF have now acquired 80%. The Reuben brothers are billionaires. The financier Amanda Staveley has got 10% in it all. Steve Bruce, everybody's talking about him, he's going to get the axe. It could be a fresh start for Newcastle. They're 19th in the table. There's a real belief, Ruffy, that Newcastle have got a real chance now of becoming a force. Here's some of the details, as you can see on the stats. It was held up, obviously, because there was a conflict between Saudi Arabia and beIN Sports on a deal to show the games. But listen, it's gone through. It's a £300 million takeover. My slight concern with this, and again, I could do a programme on it on its own, Amnesty International have urged the Premier League to block the takeover due to human rights concerns. The Saudi Investment Fund is estimated to be worth $320 billion. It is you're treading carefully on this one, but Charlie, I think the country Saudi Arabia, there is no doubt that the Crown Prince, has a major stake in this company, and that country does not have a good reputation for human rights. But I think nowadays, clubs in England would basically sell their soul to get success. They don't care who owns it.
No, and it's about the right people coming into the football club and having the right identity and what they want to do going forward, and hopefully, they go and listen to the right people. I see that Amanda Staveley's obviously been talking to Alan Shearer, Kevin Keegan, people that know the football club, and that's important because you're coming into, we can go in and we want to go and spend 150 million a window, but obviously financial fair play, but I would like to see Newcastle build from the bottom, like Man City went out into into the local community, started building things for that, making it a proper place to be. And you look at now Man City, the way they run the football club, it's brilliant. But there's a lot more to it than what Newcastle is. Listen, it's one of the clubs that I'd love to have played for. I think it's a wonderful stadium, great people, passionate, love going there as a player. And I just hope that they don't sprint before they can walk. I think they go and get the foundations properly done, and then they can go and buy gradually and get it done right. But these Newcastle fans want success now, don't they? And they've been craving it, and they deserve it. But these 320 billion. It's countries buying football clubs now. It's incredible.
Well, that's the thing about it. I mean, absolutely, the wealth there dwarfs the likes of Man City and Paris Saint-Germain. You only have to look, Ruffy. I mean, the scenes yesterday from St James's Park, absolutely incredible. They're absolutely going bananas at it. I do think there is a tremendous amount of hypocrisy attached to the owners who've come in, and I think there's going to be numerous stories that are going to be coming out, as well as previous misdemeanours which we all know about with regards to a journalist who lost his life. But all of that just pales into insignificance for the Newcastle fans. They are gung-ho all behind it.
Yes, as Charlie said, you just have to look at the scenes. They're passionate. They're football fans. They'd be deprived of success for a long, long time, and all the other teams round about them have had that success, and that's what they want. They just want a cup. As you know, my son-in-law is a Geordie, and he is absolutely delirious. I met him this morning, and if he's the same as everybody else, they think they're now going places, and obviously with that kind of money, and if Charlie says, if they use it wisely, and it's a wonderful stadium, and it's just a lovely place.
And if they can spend the money and spend big, will it be difficult for them to get the top players to Newcastle?
Well, I'm glad you said that.
Will they have to?
Because this morning I said to Gabriel, let's have a look at who they might buy.
Newcastle United have set their sights on winning the Premier League after the multi-billion-pound Saudi-backed takeover was completed yesterday. But which players could they sign who would help them do that? Felipe Coutinho was magnificent in the Premier League for Liverpool, but has been a massive flop at Barcelona, who need him off their wage bill for a cut price. Despite 5 seasons at Barca, Coutinho still has plenty to offer at 29, and he could be the creative spark that the team are looking for. Keylor Navas is still one of the best goalkeepers in the world, but he often sits on the bench now at PSG after the arrival of Gianluigi Donnarumma. The Costa Rican may be looking for a way out, and Newcastle would no doubt like to strengthen their backline. What better way to do it than with a 3-time Champions League winner? Talking of Champions League winners, no player from the UK has more winners' medals than Gareth Bale, whose contract at Real Madrid is up in the summer. Bale scored 15 times on loan at Spurs last season and may see the North East as a new project, with the Toon now one of the few clubs who could afford the winger's wages. Erling Haaland is one of the most sought-after players in the world, and he'll be available for just £75 million in 2022. Newcastle have had goal-scoring problems for years, but the Norwegian would undoubtedly solve that, and he's always said he would love to play in the Premier League. And who would be the biggest statement signing possible? Surely Kylian Mbappe, the world's most sought-after player. The PSG man is out of contract in 8 months, and he's flirted with English clubs before, although Real Madrid remain interested. Could the Magpies project entice the World Cup winner to the North East? Only time will tell.
I'd love to see the look on Mbappe's face if he arrived in the North East trying to work out what the fans were saying to him. Listen, it'll take time.
Did you see? Have you ever seen the image of the clip of him and Griezmann talking about playing Football Manager?
No.
And they're on a plane, him playing for France, and they talk about Football Manager, and Griezmann talk about showing Mbappe signing for Newcastle, and his words were, "It's too cold there."
Well, I was going to say to you, it's going to take a bit of time to sign the Harlem Globetrotters, isn't it?
No, I just think it's just what they get right. Do they go and get a core of sort of, like at Man City when they went and got Milner and Joe Hart was there and had the core of sort of English-based players. Maybe go and sign Calvin Phillips, top central midfielder, and build a team round them, and then bring the odd ones in instead of going and signing Robinho and all that.
Please tell me Steve Bruce has got a 3-year deal still. He's contracted. I hope he's getting something.
He's getting a nice payoff, supposedly.
I would like to think so, because I quite like him. I think he's handled himself impeccably. But he knows the way football is, but he's got to be rewarded for what he's went through.
But as a manager, where do they go as a manager now to keep it stable at the moment? If they, like say, they're talking about him sacking him before this Tottenham game, where do they go within the next intimate? Do they go for a Conte, or do they go with something like that, or do they keep Steve to the end of the season and think, okay, Let's just get our feet in the ground, get ourselves in the club and see what happens and make a decision in the summer.
Oh, I'm glad you said that, because here are the odds in the next manager, which are already out on this. So there's Conte at 3-1, Steven Gerrard 7-2, Eddie Howe 9-2, Rafa, and they did love, they loved Rafa there. Rafa Benitez 8-1, Lampard 9-1, which I just think is absolutely crazy. Jose Mourinho at 11-1, Brendan Rodgers is 10-1, Roberto Martinez is 14-1. So that's just a few of the runners and riders early on in this one. But as you say, lots of people, and I did mention the fact that when you download the app, you can post a message right away. Thanks to John Monroe, who says, hi from sunny Thurso. Have you been there, Ruffy?
Yeah, I've been up there, yeah.
Did the panel think Steven Gerrard could end up at Newcastle? It would be a big stepping stone on the road to end up as Liverpool manager. Great show, by the way. I watch it daily. So John is asking the question. Steven Gerrard will want to be at a club where he knows he can go and sign top players, if indeed he that suddenly emerges as an option for him. Is he ready for that type of job?
And this is going to be a huge headline, not a huge headline, but it's going to be a headline that the investment's there for Steven Gerrard to go and be Newcastle manager, to go and have 150 million to spend. Do I think he will go? No, I think he'll see it, the job that he's done at Rangers. I think he's got a good job there, he knows what he's doing. But long term, is that the stepping stone to then possibly getting the Liverpool job? Maybe. And but like you say, if there's the right project available, any manager will have to look at it.
Yeah, and listen, the first guy in there who suddenly has 150, 200 million to spend, Ruffy, I mean, it'll just be mind-boggling. Of course, it comes with its own pressures, Ruffy, because we only have to talk about, the last couple of days we were talking about John Park, who was saying, clubs have embraced the Moneyball situation of trying to get fine talent. Sometimes you can buy, that point there, Charlie laughed when he saw Coutinho's face up there. Coutinho's only 29. He was a good player at Liverpool and a flop at Barcelona. It's a big gamble sometimes.
But that's what Steven Gerrard's got to look at if he was approached. He's got to look at it, as a success or a failure, step up for me. And with that kind of money thrown at you, I see it as a sort of when Graham Souness came to Rangers, have whatever you like. Have an English captain, have the English goalie, have that, and that is the temptation when somebody has thrown all these top players at you.
Yeah, but that's all right if you're a Graham Souness and you can buy Terry Butcher and Chris Woods in a league where nobody can compete with you. Yeah. This is a club trying to actually become one of the top 6 super clubs. Yeah. And that's a different game, because Newcastle could spend 300 million and get nowhere. They might win a League Cup, because nobody else cares about it, just to get their first bit of silverware. But there's no guarantee of success in this league.
But how they've bought the football club, these investors want return there. So they won't just throw 300 million at it just for the sake of trying to win the League Cup. This will be strategically planned. Yes, there'll be investment, big investment, but the people that invest, they want returns on the money. Yeah. Maybe the Saudi boy might know, but the Reuben brothers and Amanda Staveley's obviously got money in as well. They'll be wanting returns on the money, so it's going to be difficult, and it'll be very shrewd in what they do.
And you mentioned something there, which is countries are buying clubs now. The problem is, Ruffy, I mentioned it in a column I'd written about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I wrote it off the back of the Premiership selling the rights to China. At the time, there was £1 billion deal that money was coming into the English Premier League. Celtic and Rangers looking and thinking, where are we in the pecking order of European football? The clubs above them are really worried about the imbalance now. And I mentioned 4 or 5 years ago in that column, I said, the Champions League will be dominated by them in the last 4 constantly. And I think a lot of clubs that would have considered themselves big clubs will not have a sniff anywhere near it shortly. There's a real worry about the imbalance.
Yeah, you just have to look at the league in England, the Premiership. Yeah, one team might jump out for all the big ones, but at the end of the day, the big ones buy the big players, and that's where they generally end up. And the top 4 are generally in the Champions League, and that's where they want. I mean, Charlie might know better than me, but I think, all right, you want to win the league, but more importantly, you want to be in the top 4 because you get into the Champions League.
But the thing is about the English game is it's not just the Premier League, it's Championship, League 1, League 2. The salaries of these players, they're big salaries,
Yeah.
Compared to, can you imagine, like Scotland, Spain, and that in the second division in Spain? You know, these lads in the Championship in England will be earning more than some of these players that are playing in the top leagues in Germany and Spain and Italy and things
Charlie,
like that.
You're right.
It's incredible.
Mediocre players are millionaires now.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. David Clark has sent a message on our app as well, and he says, Charlie, do you remember playing striker for Rangers and scoring a hat-trick?
Yes, in South Africa.
Did you?
Paul Le Guin.
And you scored a hat-trick?
Yeah.
Yeah? What happened? What were the circumstances?
I don't know, there was a Sunday League team or something like that, and there was no, honestly, scored 3 goals, right, and every time the goal went through the net, the ball went through the net, it was the broken net, holes in the nets and all that.
Yeah,
but
Charlie, a hat-trick's a hat-trick.
exactly that, and that's what I'm saying. Jason Cummins is still trying to tell me he scored a hat-trick for Rangers against Falkirk and he's trying to take it. I says, well, I scored a hat-trick against a team in South Africa in a pre-season friendly, so hat-trick's a hat-trick, innit?
Yeah, he needs to have a long hard look at
know,
himself,
that's what
by
I'm
the way. Ian McCulloch is replying to the guy who said Hearts always fold at Ibrox. Absolutely wrong. Hearts make a great start to numerous seasons, but they just can't keep it going, says Ian. And therein lies the problem sometimes. They've come out of the traps racing.
Yeah, but they went to Rangers once. Who was it who scored that? Did somebody for Hearts no score?
Yeah, Alan Johnson scored a
Alan
hat-trick,
Johnson, I remember that, yeah. That was so.
He's a fantastic player, Alan. Great lad as well. Yeah, I remember that. I mean, but they're all, it's sustainability, isn't it?
It's being able to go and compete for the whole 38 games and have a consistent, level of performance. The Rangers lads and Celtic boys, they could drop off a little bit, but they still know they've got that quality, can win the game. If Hearts or Hibs or, they boys drop off, more or less they might draw the game or lose the game. That's the difference in the quality that they've got. So you need everybody to be at it and playing well and hoping that Rangers might have a little bit of an off day, 1 or 2 make a difference in this game. But it's another big game for both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. The Premier League Player of the Month, no surprise, Ruffy. Can you guess who it is in England? It is Ronaldo. He scored 3 goals in his many league appearances. But the one thing I just picked up on, I know we like our social media, not to the extent of obsessive.
Tam McManus.
Yes, but Ronaldo, if he puts a post out on Instagram that endorses a certain company, £1.5 million he gets, Ruffy. That's the starting price. If I had to say to Ronaldo, look, here's one of our maestro tops, have you still got yours?
Aye.
Thank God for that. Here's one of our maestro tops. Can you put it on? Get it on. Get it out of your boot. Get it on Instagram. I'd have to give Ronaldo £1.5 million, Ruffy.
You would have to give him.
To endorse it, yeah.
Aye.
And Paul Pogba's 208,000, Mo Salah 189,000, Thiago Silva 77,000, and Rafael Varane £73,000 would have to be into his coffers before he even put the top on.
It's significance every time I wear my PLZs a $5.
Yeah, you never got it off.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Even on golf courses and that, he's got it on.
And the one other little point I was making, and this is where I think clubs are going now, especially Juan Laporta, who's got a big job in his hands as the president of Barcelona. They're going to shut the new camp for a year because they're going to do some reconstruction on it to take 110,000 fans. And it's going to begin in 2022 and it'll last possibly for about 4 years. And this is a club thinking about building, and they're 1.5 billion in debt, Ruffy. Yeah, I mean, it's mind-boggling, the figures with these clubs.
Yeah, but they said the problem is part of the stadium's not falling down. It's crumbling, isn't it? It needs it.
Yeah.
And Real Madrid they've just finished theirs, haven't they? They've changed the part of it. But like you say, these old stadiums and that, and it's obviously we're lucky now in England with the big new stadiums that we've got, and so it's.
I'd love to be at their board meetings. When they're talking about the balance.
Manager needs a new player. It's 100 million for a new player.
Wait a minute, we're 100 million in debt. It doesn't matter. We'll find it. We'll just bar on.
That's what I was going to say, Rocky. I'd love you to be at the Barcelona board meeting when they're saying, right, we're 1.5 billion in debt, but let's build the top tier again. Strange days. Thank you very much to lots of people who have put messages out on our YouTube. We try as much as we possibly can to read out the thoroughly decent football fans who love their club and want to talk about football on the scale of Scotland and of course in the UK and wider afield. We try and talk as much football as we possibly can. Every now and then I offer up a form of decency. I'll never get tired of saying it. I know some people think I'm a broken record, but we do try and ban some people without being overly obsessive about it. We ban some people whose language is not good and derogatory towards other people. We try our best, but we can't get through it all. So sometimes you're just going to have to basically disregard some people who are in the gutter with their language. The good thing is you can download the app and you can post messages to us, and of course it has your email there on it. You can take responsibility for your opinion. If you've got a spine and you want to do that, then by all means join us, join the football family, the thoroughly decent people who are downloading the app and finding out that the up-to-date breaking news is there. You can also hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and of course we've got the website as well. So there's lots to get involved in, and there's lots more big news on the way for PLZ Soccer, and of course for the football show. We've got some great programmes coming up. Good luck to Scotland and Steve Clark and all the boys in the squad. They have the nation's interests at heart. They want to try and get to a World Cup. We want to be going to a World Cup. Charlie, myself and Ruffy, Gabriel and all the team getting into the PLZ mystery machine and heading out there, Charlie. I can think of nothing better.
Qatar.
That's my only problem is, do we buy an outside broadcast truck that needs water in it for the radiator? Because we could be in trouble, Ruffy. Or do we buy an electric car?
I thought you were going to say we need to take a carry out with us because we can't get any drink there. fill the van up.
The country on the edge of the border that allows drink is where we'll be pitching the tent and then nipping in for the game and
we'll
coming
be flying in at Qatar from Dubai or something like that, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely, Charlie. I love your enthusiasm and of course your budget. Anyway, have a great weekend. Come on, Scotland. We want you to get that positive result against Israel. We'll be back on Monday to discuss it, to digest what happened over the 90 minutes, and of course offer you our opinion. No shortage of that as well. Thank you very much to Ruffy, to Charlie Adam, from myself, Peter Martin. Thank you to you for watching. Have a great weekend.